Part 134. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1332. Zhang Chen walked behind the desk. He stood and Su Qiaxin sat, communicating with Jessica on MSN. Su Qiaxin translated Jessica's words to Zhang Chen, and then translated Zhang Chen's meaning into English. The MSN dialog box was sent. After saying a few words, Su Qiaxin took a long breath and cursed, "Grandmas." Zhang Chen was taken aback. He didn't know what she was scolding. He thought she was really asking for a price increase. He was still thinking about what kind of words he should use to respond. After Su Qiaxin translated, he breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that Jessica came to Zhang Chen not to discuss price adjustments, but to tell him that the sales of the lamps he designed had been good in the past 2 years and asked him if he could help design some Christmas supplies. Christmas supplies were theirs. At the end of each year, a big piece of business comes. Their current designers are either from the United States or Europe, and the things they design cannot escape the original framework. Their company feels that they are becoming less and less innovative, so they thought of Zhang Chen to see if there was anything he could do. Offer some creative ideas with an oriental twist. Zhang Chen agreed to Jessica's request and agreed to give it a try. Jessica told him that there is no limit to the products, ranging from Christmas decorations to Christmas gifts. Zhang Chen said yes. After communicating with Jessica and saying goodbye, Su Qiaxin looked at Zhang Chen, patted her chest and said, "Oh my God, I thought the devil from Target came out and was going to lower the price again, but luckily it wasn't." Then he said to Zhang Chen, "Come on, boss, it's up to you whether you can give me another big order." According to Jessica's past habits, if they approve the product designed by Zhang Chen, they will usually place the order with them and let them find a suitable manufacturer. This saves them a lot of trouble in the early stage. There are people who help them control quality issues, so Su Qiaxin said this. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Then why don't you flatter me quickly?" "Okay, boss is so handsome." "You are really handsome today, is that enough?" Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen laughed, and even he Hung Mei, who was sitting at the conference table, also laughed. After Su Qiaxin left, Zhang Chen was about to go back to the conference table when he saw Zheng Huiyang looking for him on MSN and sent him a smiley face. Zhang Chen quickly sent back a smiley face to show that he was there. Zheng Huiyang said, "Mr. Zhang, I have good news for you. We have found a solution to online payment." "What can we do?" Zhang Chen asked. Zheng Huiyang, "Secured transaction." "What's the meaning?" Zheng Huiyang said, "You sell something online, and the other party pays the money immediately, but the money does not go directly to your account, but to the account on our website first. You ship the goods, and after receiving it, the other party feels that there is no question, click OK, and we will pay you the money on our website right away." "I understand," Zhang Chen said, "you are giving a guarantee to both parties to the transaction. In this way, the seller does not have to worry about sending the goods and not receiving the money, because the money has already arrived at your place. People don't have to worry about not receiving the goods after paying the money, because the money has not yet reached the hands of the seller, and the money will not be paid until he receives the goods." "Yes," Zheng Huiyang said, "if there is a dispute, our customer service will resolve it." "Great. What a genius design," Zhang Chen said. "Who came up with it, Teacher Ma?" "No, it's Uncle Cai." "Who is Uncle Cai?" "That's what you saw the other night." "There were so many people that night, who was it?" Zhang Chen asked. "Oh, I can't explain clearly. Next time you come, I'll introduce you to him," Zheng Huiyang said. "Okay," Zhang Chen said, thinking that he really wanted to meet such a talented designer. Zhang Chen asked Zheng Huiyang, "When can I start using it?" "Immediately, starting tomorrow. The buyer can choose for all transactions. He can choose the original method or a guaranteed transaction." Okay, help me praise your uncle Cai, Zhang Chen said. I remembered, Mr. Zhang, you two have actually dealt with each other before, Zheng Huiyang said. Just that night. No, the camera you bought was sold by him, Zheng Huiyang added a laughing expression. Zhang Chen also laughed. No wonder, it turns out to be this profiteer. It's not that he is a profiteer, it's that you are a fool, Zheng Huiyang smiled. Wei Wenfang is here, Mr. Zhang, I will accompany her to find teacher Ma. Why did Wei Wenfang go to your place? Zhang Chen was confused. She came to discuss cooperation with teacher Ma. We chose them as the courier company recommended by our website, and they offered discounts on postage. This is pretty good, Zhang Chen said. Then I went. Good. Zhang Chen stood up and walked to the conference table with a smile. He Hongmei looked at him and asked, what's the good thing about being so happy? Is that American woman ogling you? No, it's Zheng Huiyang. Zheng Huiyang is ogling you, He Hongmei giggled. Go away, Zhang Chen cursed, you told me about a genius design. Zhang Chen told He Hongmei what Zheng Huiyang told him about the secured transaction, and He Hongmei also shouted, this is really good. This way, everyone will save trouble. Zhang Chen nodded and said, yes, I think Zheng Huiyang and his company can win in the competition based on this. After Mr. Ma and his colleagues launched Dobayo.com, they developed rapidly, but they were not without competition. On the contrary, the competition was fierce. At that time, there were two e-commerce websites with the same model, one was eBay in the United States. eBay, and there is also eBay, EachNet, which is also said to be from the United States, but is actually made by the Chinese. The scale of these two companies is larger than that of Dobayo. Especially on July 11 this year, eBay merged with eBay with 150 million in cash and launched the joint auction website eBay. In this way, their scale is even larger, putting a lot of pressure on Diobao.com. But their problem is the same. They still haven't solved the payment problem for online transactions. Now that Dibo.com has taken the lead in solving it, Zhang Chen feels that Dibo.com will definitely catch up from behind. They have a sharp knife and have taken over online payment with one blow. Later facts also prove Zhang Chen's judgment. Since Dibo.com launched guaranteed transactions, almost all consumers have chosen guaranteed transactions. Sellers also welcome this method. In this way, they don't have to spend anything. I spent all my energy and wasted words with the buyer on the payment issue. The payment method of Dibo.com quickly determined the guaranteed transaction model and named this model payment guarantee. When eBay discovered that they were actually lagging behind Diobao in terms of payment methods in competition with Diobao, they also launched their third-party guaranteed payment plan. But by this time, it was already too late. In the internet era, one step later, every step later, payment guarantee has become deeply rooted in the hearts of the people and has become synonymous with third-party payment. With this secret weapon, Dabao.com grew rapidly. In less than a year, it surpassed eBay in terms of transaction volume, and eventually beat eBay to the ground, with no possibility of turning around. Zhang Chen told He Hongmei about Wei Wenfang again, and He Hongmei said that Wei Wenfang's mind was really fast. Zhang Chen smiled and said, I have never seen anyone who is as dedicated as Wei Wenfang in doing business. It would be unreasonable for her not to succeed. What about you? He Hongmei asked. I can't do it. I did it half-heartedly. Look, I made clothes and then went to the market. After I made the market, I went to the lakeside oil painting gallery. After I made the oil painting gallery, I went to the logistics base, Zhang Chen said. Now I go to the market again. I started running a hotel, and look at Wei Wenfang, who only focuses on express delivery. If I were to be as focused as her, the clothing business would definitely be bigger than it is now. Yes, just because you are so humble, you are teachable, He Hongmei said, and Zhang Chen laughed. Later, After teacher Ma and their payment guarantee became bigger, Zhang Chen saw Zheng Huiyang again and told her, "You are now so powerful that even eBay has been defeated by you. This payment guarantee is really one of yours. A sharp knife." Zheng Huiyang said nothing. Zhang Chen continued, "I have done a calculation for you. You have made a lot of money because of this, right? The buyer will pay you the money first. After he receives the goods and confirms it, you will then pay the money when you go out. There should be at least a week in between. During this week, the money will be in your account. If you add up little by little, you will form a huge pool of funds. The old ones keep being paid out, and the new ones keep coming in. In this way, there is actually a huge amount of funds that is always deposited in your account. This fund pool should be at least several billion. You take this money, you don't need to do anything else. You can earn a lot by just depositing it in the bank and earning interest. The buyer pays and the seller collects the money, but there is no such thing as interest. You, teacher Ma, still complain about being poor every day. You are so good at pretending." Zheng Huiyang shook her head worriedly and said, "Mr. Zhang, let me tell you, don't tell others. In fact, several of our internal staff are very worried. They worry about something happening every day. It can be said that they are doing it with trepidation. Teacher Ma, I can't sleep at night because of this." "What are you worried about?" Zhang Chen asked. "There is actually a legal risk in paying insurance," Zheng Huiyang said. "What legal risk?" Zhang Chen was confused and asked Zheng Huiyang. "Illegal fundraising," Zheng Huiyang said. When Zheng Huiyang said this, Zhang Chen immediately understood. It is true that the most important criterion for illegal fundraising is to raise funds from non-specific members of the public. Zheng Huiyang's company is not a bank and does not have a financial license. They do not have any financial license. The reason is to collect money from the public. But so many people have indeed transferred so much money to their company's account, and there is no normal trade relationship between them and the buyers. If this matter is really confirmed, it is indeed suspected of illegal fundraising. In addition, there was a lot of room for ambiguity in the identification of the crime of illegal fundraising. No wonder your teacher Ma keeps saying that payment insurance only helps solve the payment problem of online transactions. You have no choice but to do this. If the country needs it, he can hand over payment insurance to the country at any time, Zhang Chen said with a smile. He is retreating in order to advance, pretending to be in mourning, leaving a way for himself to retreat, right? Zheng Huiyang remained silent and smiled bitterly. "Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you, Ben Hushan, book friends 201806202240288804, Jiangnans Hainan 0111, Nagging Old Deo, Zlos Los Jazja, book friends 201906211331025536, Frivolous, Tianying 1978 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1333. In September, for Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan, the most important thing is of course the wedding of Lao Tan and Chu Tianlin. The wedding will be held at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, and Lao Tan and Chu Tianlin's new house will be placed in Chu Tianlin's Peach Garden Villa. Here, Lao Tan's house in Splendid Home is where they usually live when they go to work. Zhang Chen took He Hungmei from Tuxianjiayuan Hotel to Peach Blossom Spring and then to Splendid Home to help decorate new houses and houses. They also wanted to dress up Tuxianjiayuan Hotel beautifully and cheerfully. To welcome the arrival of September 20th. Wang Minsheng prepared the materials in advance. He told Zhang Chen that he would make a large cake with a diameter of 1 meter and 3 meters and 14 layers, which would symbolize a lifetime. On that day, it would be placed in the lobby of the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel for guests to attend the wedding. Guests can use it themselves. The big cake with a diameter of 1.3 meters and 14 layers made Xiangnang North go crazy when he heard about it. They said that they must be the first to arrive that day and eat the first one. He Hongmei and Tan Shahen were looking forward to it after hearing this. He Hongmei and Xiangnan Xiangbei agreed that I would take you to the first one that day. Doesn't the wedding start at 6 o'clock in the evening? Can we go at 3 o'clock? Everyone applauded from south to north. Chu Tianlin called Zhang Chen and told him that Xiao Zhao must attend our wedding. If she was not there, I would cry. Zhang Chen said, yes, Sister Tianlin, don't worry, I will take Xiao Zhao there. Zhang Chen picked out a photo of Xiao Zhao and went to the Keikyo store to put it in the largest size they could. He also went to the photographic equipment market and bought a beautiful frame and put the photo in the frame. On that day, he was going to take it with him photos past. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao said, Xiao Zhao, just laugh. The eldest brother and sister Tianlin are getting married. Both Sister Tianlin and the eldest brother will definitely ask you to attend their wedding. I still have concerns about whether it was not good, and I got scolded by my eldest brother. Xiao Zhao, are you happy? I know you will be very happy, just bless them in heaven. On the 19th, 6 or 7 of Xiao Zheng and Xiao Ding, as well as Lao Xia and Lao Tan, the old chiefs of the Yulin base and now the base chiefs all came to Hangzhou. Meng Ping and Qian Fang also came from Nanjing. Came here. Lao Wan, Ying Ying, Su Wenhui, Fan Jiangguo, Zhang Mushan, and Song Chunming, several branch managers of Zhejiang Jingxia Real Estate Co., Limited across the country, also rushed back to Hangzhou. The second-hand family also left early. Song Jiang rushed back. Many of Chu Tianlin's customers also came from other places. Just like Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, they came to see who married away Chu Tianlin, a beautiful and gentle boss lady. There were so many guests that the Tuxianjia Hotel had announced 3 days in advance that it would be closed to the public on that day, but even so, all the private rooms in the hotel were full, and there was still no room for them, so they had to put 3 more tables in the lobby. That's enough. When arranging seats, the most troublesome thing for Tan Shahen was how to arrange her parents and Lu Ligan's parents into different boxes. It was easy to arrange her own parents, mainly Lu Ligan's father. Among people, it might scare others. In the end, Tan Shahen arranged the old Lu couple, Zhang Chen's parents, Xiao Zhao's parents, Chu Tianlin's parents, and Fan Qishun's couple together, while her own parents were placed among strangers. Tan Shahen greeted her parents in advance. Lao Tan listened and did not express any objection. Tan Shahen was relieved. Tan Shahen arranged the people in her company to sit at the 3 tables in the lobby, so that no one had anything to say. He Hongmei took Xiangnan to the north and went to the Tuxianjia Hotel very early. When they saw the big cake, the 2 of them were so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths. Zhang Xiangbei was ready to eat it immediately. Hui Huan smiled. I stopped it and told them that it would only be eaten at 6 o'clock until all the guests arrived. Everyone was surprised by such a big cake and must take photos as a souvenir. Seeing Xiangnan Xiangbei pouting, Hui Huan smiled and said, I promise, you will be the first to eat, okay. The 2 men reluctantly nodded. But soon, they became happy, because Wang Minsheng took them to the kitchen and let them watch the cake and how other desserts were made beside him. Wang Minsheng also gave them 2, one person made a small cake and asked them to write their names on the cake. When the 2 of them ate the cake with their own names, they thought it was the most delicious cake in the world. Because the layout of Tuxianjia Hotel is quite special, with all rooms and no lobby, they had to hold a ceremony at the hotel's entrance. Zhang Chen asked Hui Huan to lay a red carpet at the entrance, and Lu Ligan invited a band. Tan Shahen served as the host of the wedding, and Lao Tan and Chu Tianlin exchanged rings under the witness of Li Yong and Yulin base. Wang Minchen's big cake really caused a sensation and became the highlight of the entire wedding. Everyone took photos with the big cake. After taking the group photo and preparing to share the cake, the children who came to the wedding had already formed a long queue, looking south and north in the kitchen to watch Wang Min's Hung making desserts. They were so happy that they forgot about eating the cake. When the two of them ran out, the line was already long, and both of them were almost crying. Hui Huan saw it and quickly pulled them aside to comfort them. Hui Huan quietly said to them, "Don't worry, can Auntie open the back door for you?" He nodded quickly to the south and north. Hui Huan personally divided the cake. She cut 2 pieces from the top layer and handed them to the waiter standing next to him with a tray in his hand. Then she started dividing the cake. After dividing it for more than a dozen people, she asked the waiter to continue dividing. She took the tray and walked towards Xiongnan and Xiangbei, who had been staring at this place eagerly. They finally became the first people to eat this giant cake. Tan Shahen arranged these good friends of theirs in the big box. On Zhang Chen's left, he hung May Saturday. The chair on his right was empty. On the chair was Xiao Zhao's photo, and the tableware in front of him was also placed. Gotta be neat. Zhang Chen took the napkin folded into a flower from the bone plate, opened it, placed it under the bone plate, took out the chopsticks from the chopstick set, and placed them on the chopstick holder. Everyone at the table was silent. Look at him. Tan Shahen took the wine bottle and poured wine into the cup in front of Xiao Zhao. Tan Shahen said to Xiao Zhao, "Xiao Zhao, I'm happy today, let's have some drinks too." Wei Venfang, Lin Shuwen, He Hungmei, Qian Fang and other girls had already started sobbing, and the second-rate girl even cried like a child. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Don't cry, don't cry. Today is a happy day. Xiao Zhao is happy, and so are all of us." The second-rate scolded, "I was raised by force, I just can't be happy. My aunt is so pitiful." When the idiot said this, the women cried even harder. When the food was served, He Hungmei stood up and walked over. She put a little of each of Xiao Zhao's favorite dishes into the bone plate in front of Xiao Zhao's seat. Lao Tan and Chu Tianlin toasted in one box after another. Han Emperor Liu Bang and Xiaoan accompanied them. They originally asked Meng Ping to accompany them in the toast. Meng Ping said, "How dare I go with my drinking capacity?" The toast was not halfway done. So he got down, and finally everyone recommended Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, as the national soldier, and accompanied Lao Tan to toast. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said happily, "Okay, it is incumbent upon the Kuomintang and the Communist Party to cooperate." When they arrived at Zhang Chen's box, the 4 of them walked in. Chu Tianlin burst into tears as soon as she saw Xiao Zhao's photo. She stroked Xiao Zhao's photo, tears rolling down her face. In the box, the front of the box finally opened. Those who stopped crying started crying again. Tan Shahen and He Hungmei were still crying, but they came over to persuade Chu Tianlin to stop crying. There was still so much wine to toast. The 2 of them persuaded Chu Tianlin into the bathroom and touched up her makeup. Zhang Chen also stood up. When Chu Tianlin came out, he refused to let her come back and sent the 4 of them out of the box. Lao Tan and Chu Tianlin had just gone out, and Hagen and Sister Gi Hua came in again, saying they wanted to see Xiao Zhao, and everyone burst into tears again. This wedding banquet turned into a memorial service. Seeing this, Zhang Chen couldn't finish the wine. He told everyone, "Okay, Xiao Zhao has already eaten and needs to leave first." He stood up, took off Xiao Zhao's photo, put it on the car, and asked Hui Huan to remove Xiao Zhao's seat. This meal took a long time. When Lao Tan and the others finished their toast and returned to their box, Xiao Zheng and Xiao Ding chased after them. They came to see Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, and they all started to attack the national army. Express dissatisfaction and continue to do it. So many people came to the opponent at once. Meng Ping, Liu Ligan, Wu Zayawai and Zhang Chen naturally stood up to help Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty. Even Li Yong joined in and faced off against the old leader Lao Tan. Soon, they were divided into two camps and began to fight in groups. Tan Shahen and Chu Tianlin took a few women and simply went to the vacant box next door and gave it to them. The most difficult thing is the idiot. When he wanted to side with Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, Xiao Zheng, and the others refused, saying that he was also from the base. The idiot made sense when he thought about it. Xiao Zheng and Xiao Ding were both him. Dad's former comrades in arms, according to their seniority, he calls them all uncles. But when he stood there, he refused again. Wu Zai cursed, "You idiot, do you want to be a traitor? Do you want to be the enemy of your brothers?" Meng Ping also shouted, "Come here, you idiot, come here quickly." The second-rate guy looked over there, they were all uncles, and looked over here, they were all brothers. He was really in a dilemma. He looked at Lao Tan for help and shouted, "Uncle, uncle, what should I do?" Lao Tan scratched his head and said, "You ask me, I ask who is going, I don't even know what to do myself. What should I do if I don't know what to do?" "Return to the team," the old leader gave the order to Lao Tan. "Thank you Hu for the tip." "Thank you Jiangnan's Hainan 0111, Zongkai 727, and Book Friends 2020110911135192 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1334. Zhang Chen sent He Hongmei to the airport. After completing the check-in formalities, the two of them stood together. Although they had been together for more than a week, at the moment when they broke up, they still couldn't let go. Zhang Chen wanted to say he didn't say anything, just looked at He Hongmei. He Hongmei also looked at him, saw Zhang Chen looking at her, and said angrily, "What are you looking at? If you have the ability, come with me to Beijing." Okay. Zhang Chen turned around and left. He Hongmei was stunned, looking at him, actually wanting to see what Zhang Chen would do. After standing for a while, He Hongmei walked towards the direction where Zhang Chen left, but saw that Zhang Chen had come back, shaking the ticket in his hand and saying to He Hongmei, "Let's go check in." He Hongmei was surprised. She didn't expect that Zhang Chen would actually buy the ticket. She said no, 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 but she felt a little sweet in her heart. "Why not? I'll take you home and come back." Zhang Chen continued to walk towards the check-in counter as he spoke. He Hongmei hugged Zhang Chen from behind and was led by him, her face pressed against his back, and she laughed. There were only 3 people in the first-class cabin, but their seats were not next to each other. Zhang Chen greeted the flight attendant and they sat together. On the plane, the two of them looked at each other and just kept laughing. When they arrived in Beijing, Wen Wen picked them up at the airport and got in the car. He Hongmei and Wen Wen said, "Send Mr. Zhang to the hotel first." "What hotel are we going to? We are an old couple, why should we stay in a hotel? If you have money, don't you? If you have money, just treat me and Qian to dinner," Wen Wen said. Zhang Chen laughed, and He Hongmei reached out to hit Wen Wen. Wen Wen patted the steering wheel with both hands and shouted, "Drive, drive, didn't you see me driving?" He Hongmei's face turned crimson, but she could only give up. As expected, Wen Wen did not drive to the city, but drove directly back to their villa. Wen Wen followed them upstairs and said to Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, don't worry, there are sewing machines down there, clicking, 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 no matter how noisy you are, you can't disturb them." He Hongmei turned around to hit her, Wen Wen shouted to Mr. Zhang to save me, turned around and ran away. Zhang Chen did not say, "I'll take you home and come back," as he said at Hangzhou Airport. Instead, he stayed in Beijing for 2 more days before returning to Hangzhou. Since the launch of guaranteed transactions on Diobao.com, and Zhang Chen and the others took the lead, more and more people are selling clothes, and the transaction volume has also increased. They can sell 5 or 6 pieces every day, and the most one day is 2 pieces. A dozen pieces of clothing. Although this kind of transaction volume is a drop in the bucket for a company as big as theirs, Zhang Chen thought that this is enough to be a very small specialty store. The most important thing is that it is directly operated by himself. Profits have doubled several times, while costs, except for the wages of 2 salesmen, are basically zero. Calculated this way, it's still a good deal. Zhang Chen separated those 2 people from the design center, used the room where Tan Shahan lived as an office, and established a company's e-commerce department. Zhang Chen designed Christmas supplies for Jessica and the others, and Jessica also confirmed 12 models at once. In addition to paying the design fee, the big order Su Kioxin was waiting for also came soon, and she wanted it urgently. There were 6 models. Shentu Hanjian could make it, and Su Kioxin immediately gave it to her. There were also other products. Shentu Hanjian introduced her friend's factory to pick them up. If there is anything else that you will cannot do, just place an order for a space shuttle and you will people can make it for you. Su Kioxin and Zhang Chen said. These must be sent out by speedboat before the end of October. The better news is that director Zhang also approved He Hongmei's costume design for director Zhang's film and praised it greatly. When He Hongmei called Zhang Chen, she couldn't stop crying while holding the phone. As for him, he couldn't see it anyway. He Hongmei herself didn't know why she was crying. She was happy, missing, and a little bit aggrieved. As she said, "Are we torturing ourselves too much? Why do people who obviously want to be together every day have to endure the pain of separation?" He Hongmei couldn't explain clearly, and felt that she was getting more and more confused. 2003 was about to pass. Zhang Chen stood on the roof of Xiaosha factory and thought about it. He felt that this year seemed to be very long and very dramatic. The first half of the year was quite the opposite. But Zhang Chen knew that what he had lost this year had been lost forever. Time really could not be turned back. If he were asked to give up everything he had now and go back to him and Xiao Zhao, sitting face to face in the Red Flag Hotel on the bed in the corridor, the moment Xiao Zhao used her body to warm his cold feet, he said yes without hesitation. If he could really go back to that moment and start over, Zhang Chen would rather find a job, ride a bicycle to work every day, lie on the table, and work hard on his design work. Yes, even if he just goes to that guy named Zhang Chen's, it's not bad to work in a company. They have to work hard to save money and then try to buy the cheapest house in Lu Ligan's company. Zhang Xiangbei already had one. Before that, on the night of the second day after they returned to Hangzhou, on the coal pile in the boiler room of the Red Flag Hotel, Zhang Xiangbei had already had one. Now, they will still be a family of 3. If that were the case, they would not be able to make clothing, open a specialty store in Beijing, have any fashion show, parks and shopping center would not give them a side haul, and Xiao Zhao would not go to Beijing. Xiao Zhao now, he is definitely still alive, he still goes to and from work every day, buys groceries and cooks, calls him honey before going to bed, and asks him to draw a morning watch when he wakes up. When Zhang Chen thought of Beijing, he thought of He Hongmei. If so, he would not have known He Hongmei. Even if the 2 of them walked face to face, they would have passed each other in the end. When thinking about this, Zhang Chen felt faintly in his heart. It's a bit distressing, that's a different kind of pain. Zhang Chen looked at road number 1 in front of him, at Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, and then looked in another direction. Although he couldn't see it, Chu Tianlin and his Sankei printing company were definitely there. Zhang Chen fell into a trance. He thought that people left more and more things in this world and became heavier and heavier, but when people left this world, they were so light and fast. Zhang Chen couldn't help but sigh. "Brother Zhang!" Someone shouted softly. Zhang Chen turned around and saw Huihuan standing behind him. Huihuan said, "Director Zhao told me that you should be on the top of the building, so I came up." Zhang Chen nodded and asked, "What do you want from me?" "Well, I want to talk to you about things in the hotel," Huihuan said. Zhang Chen said, "Okay, let's go down." As the two of them walked down, Huihuan asked tentatively, "Brother Zhang, are you worried?" Zhang Chen didn't say yes or no, he just shook his head slightly. After a while, Huihuan sighed. Zhang Chen turned to look at her and asked, "Why are you sighing?" Huihuan said, "I was thinking, this person seems to understand very well when he thinks about other people's things, but sometimes he is not so clear when he thinks about his own things." Zhang Chen laughed and asked, "Why do you have such emotion?" "I've had it for a long time," Huihuan said. "Every time I see you, you seem to be worried, and I feel very sad, but I don't know how to tell you. I know it must be related to Sister Xiaoxiao." After a pause, Huihuan said again, "I am the one you brought back from the edge of death. Really, Brother Zhang, if you didn't come to me that night and say those words to me, I would definitely have they tried their best. Those words you said to me were so well said. I don't know if I can tell you these words. I am stupid and I definitely can't understand them." Zhang Chen was silent and said, "No need to say, I understand, thank you Huihuan." The two people returned to Zhang Chen's office. After sitting down, Zhang Chen and Huihuan said, "Okay, tell me what you want." Huihuan talked to Zhang Chen. She said that the layout of their hotel was a bit special. They were all private rooms and there was no lobby. Although this was designed for the characteristics of Xiaoxia, there were still a lot of inconveniences in actual use. "What ones are there?" Zhang Chen asked. "These companies and schools in Xiaoxia often have small internal gatherings, with 2, 3 or 3 tables. When they encounter such gatherings, they especially don't want to be in the box, but want to be in the private room. Together, in the box, it is difficult to arrange who shares the box with whom, and it will not be lively," Huihuan said. Zhang Chen thought about the wedding between Lao Tan and Chu Tianlin. He nodded and felt that Huihuan was right. His considerations at the time were indeed a bit too idealistic. "I was just thinking, Brother Zhang, if we can add a hall. It doesn't need to be very big. It can accommodate 5 or 6 tables of guests," Huihuan said. "When we are busy now, the private rooms are also full. The added hall can also come in handy." Zhang Chen said, "Your idea is very good, but where should we add this hall? I can't think about this well either." Huihuan said, opened her bag, took out a square piece of paper, and handed it to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen saw that it was the floor plan of the entire Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. This was Huihuan's. Although he didn't draw this floor plan and Zhang Chen knew where it was, he still admired Huihuan's meticulousness in doing things. Zhang Chen stared at the floor plan. He thought of the conference room that was later added to his Banmushan Resort Hotel in Sanya. Zhang Chen pointed to a flower bed on the left side of the hotel and asked Huihuan, "How about tearing down this flower bed and building a glass hall here? The space in a hall with 5 or 6 tables will definitely not be large. If it is a closed space, it will be very depressing. If it is all glass, it will give people the feeling of being very spacious." Huihuan said yes. "However, this place is next to their kitchen. You cannot open a door directly from the kitchen to go out. It will be noisy and dirty." Zhang Chen and Huihuan said, "The only way is to enter and exit through the hotel lobby door. Considering rainy days and hygiene, we will stick to here and make a glass corridor to pass through." Huihuan nodded. "Thank you Ba Liang for the reward at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Pandalong, Book friends 20190110118025224314, Quiet Room, Zizhib, Hoo. Book friends 201909090759292245, Winsanliu, Ba Liang. Book friends 2020110911135193, Nagging Old Deo, Guzio Kyokiu. Book friends 202006232345104552, Book friends 2019 monthly ticket for 06211331025536. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1335. Lu Lizan felt like he was a urinal. Now that he was done with it, he would be stuffed under the bed again. On January 1, 2004, the first day of the new year, the Hangcheng New Real Estate Deal, also known as the Hangzhou 8 Measures, was implemented. Among the 8 measures, the most severe one was about the resumption of 20% personal income tax on second-hand housing transactions. Also officially launched on this day. The new deal stipulates that individuals' income from the sale of their own homes should be subject to a 20% personal income tax based on property transfer income items. Since then, since the release of the State Council document No. 18 last August, the good days of the real estate industry have come to an end. That kind of shivering chill, Lu Ligan felt like he could reach out and touch it. The so-called Hangcheng New Real Estate Deal was originally intended to squeeze bubbles, stabilize the market, encourage rigid demand, and curb investment speculative demand in real estate purchases and transfers. However, because the entire real estate market in Hangzhou, including second-hand housing, was always unsaturated at that time, it was a typical seller's market. As a result of the new deal, sellers invariably passed on the transaction costs of 20% personal income tax to buyers, and housing prices did not decrease due to personal tax regulation, but instead jumped up. This sudden surge in housing prices finally drove home buyers away. The transaction volume of the second-hand housing market in Hangzhou shrank sharply. It experienced an unprecedented deserted situation. Real estate agencies began to transfer their properties one after another, reaching the tragic point where one real estate agency closed down in 4 days. The coldness of the second-hand housing market soon spread to the sales departments of various real estate companies. Those real estate speculators have not yet sold their houses, so how can they dare to buy new houses? Half of the demand for steel is due to the money in hand could no longer afford to buy a house, and the other half was frightened when they saw that the price of the property was too high. Including the city government's promise to ensure home ownership, the government will definitely not be able to stand such rising housing prices, and will definitely take action to stabilize housing prices. Everyone's expectations for the decline in housing prices in Hangzhou are unprecedentedly high. They all kept their pockets tight and refused to take action. The real estate market in each city will be infected with each other. This is true for an iconic city like Hangzhou, and it is also true for other cities, especially Ningbo, which is also in Zhejiang province. Lu Ligan and his other sales offices across the country were crowded with people. It was as cold as the weather this winter. Lu Ligan felt that he was going to be like 11er in The White-Haired Girl who sang, "The north wind is blowing / the snowflakes are fluttering / the snowflakes are fluttering / the new year is coming." He thought of 11er's father, Yang Beilao, and now he understood the meaning of his name. He felt that he was Lu Beilao, working in vain all year round, and the new year was really coming. What he didn't know was that the hard days waiting for him had just begun. The cold winter months had passed, and when spring came, there was still a late spring cold. The new year is coming, when all kinds of expenses are paid together. Tan Shahen looks at the money in her company account, like an hourglass, constantly leaking down, and it can't stop. The construction company and materials of each project businessmen are all counting on their money to celebrate the new year. If they don't pay, the boss of the construction company can still say it, but the contractor below can't hold it. Some contractors are actually instigated by the boss of the construction company, but they are pretending to be innocent and pretending to understand Mr. Lu and Mr. Tan very well. Those contractors will often go to the construction site to pull banners and make trouble in the offices of the company and branches. Below them, those workers who have not received their wages will go to the extreme to climb high scaffolding or tower cranes. Sitting there, threatening to jump if he ran out of money. Tan Shahen would never dare to owe this money. She could only move here and there, pool the funds of each branch, and pay out the necessary items from top to bottom, one by one, starting with other places. Later Hangzhou. But the sand in the hourglass is limited, and the money in the company's account is even more needed when it is needed. Why do you feel that this money is getting smaller and smaller, and it is becoming less and less useful? The account is as empty as a window without glass, but in Hangzhou, here at the head office, there are still necessary funds that have not been paid. Moreover, everyone in the company has not been paid a penny. They also need to celebrate the new year. Every day, people asking for money sat in a circle in Tan Shahen's office. Lu Ligan, a coward, even turned off his mobile phone and did not show up at the company for several days. Old Tan was so angry that he cursed loudly and ran upstairs to the dynamic zone to look for Lu Lepol, but he couldn't find him. He went to Zhang Chen's office and told Zhang Chen that this Pole had left a woman like Zhen Zhen among a bunch of people asking for money. It doesn't matter what happened in the middle. I feel uncomfortable every day when I see Zhen Zhen with her smiling face and dealing with those little foremans. Zhang Chen was shocked when he heard what Lao Tan said. He knew that Lu Ligan and the others were having a hard time, and that all real estate companies were having a hard time right now, but he didn't expect that Lu Ligan and the others would be in such a difficult situation. He hadn't seen Lu Ligan for several days and couldn't call him. Zhang Chen hurried to Lu Ligan's company and walked to Tan Shahen's office. Sure enough, he saw 4 or 5 people sitting there with their hands folded. With her feet raised and flying in the clouds, Tan Shahen talked to them with a smile. Zhang Chen called Tan Shahen to Yao Fen's office. Yao Fen saw them coming in and let them out. Zhang Chen closed the door and asked Tan Shahen, "What's going on?" Tan Shahen said that nothing happened, it was just that there was no money in the account. "Why didn't you tell me earlier that we ran out of money?" Zhang Chen scolded. Tan Shahen smiled and said, "I just didn't want to say it earlier, but I have already thought about it. I know the Pole can't open the door, but I will definitely talk to you, otherwise, I won't be able to get through this year." "How many are needed?" Zhang Chen asked. Tan Shahen thought for a moment and said, "Please prepare 80 million for me." Zhang Chen said yes. "When will he want it?" "No rush, it's not time yet," Tan Shahen said. "What date is this?" "It's holiday soon, so there's no rush," Zhang Chen scolded. "I'll have Zhao Jingjing call you right away." No, Zhang Chen, I really don't. There's no rush now. We'll talk about it in 2 days, no, 3 days, Tan Shahen said. "What the hell are you doing?" Zhang Chen asked. "As for these people in my office, have you seen that in fact, we have paid them half of the money that should be paid, but these people took the money and did not give it to the people below at all. Now, what they want, it's not the other half that we should pay, but I hope that we can pay them part of the money that will be paid in the future in advance." "Why?" Zhang Chen was confused. In this way, after paying the workers below, they still have money in their pockets, so they can continue to make money. Who knows where they spent the money? I know 2 of them, and they have several little wives, these bastards. Tan Shahen cursed fiercely, "I will give them the money that should be given to them. If they want more, there is no way." "What does this have to do with whether I can make money or not?" Zhang Chen asked. "Who doesn't have a few friends in banks?" Tan Shahen said. "If they knew we had money in our account, they would resort to any means, including rolling on the ground and wailing." Tan Shahen saw that Jiang Chen still didn't understand, so she said to him. I also cried with them about poverty, saying that we had no money. I was dragging them down, asking them to lower their expectations, and also asking the workers below them to continue to push them. When that day came, they also understood that this year it is impossible to get any other money. In this way, when they get the money, they will definitely not dare to use it arbitrarily. They will immediately give it to the workers and let them go home. Otherwise, they will still hold on to expectations and feel that there is still time to continue asking for money, so they will use the money arbitrarily, and then continue after using it. Then I'll ask for workers' wages. Jiang Chen finally understood a little bit and said, I didn't expect that your business is so complicated. Of course, this is a battle of wits, understand, Tan Shahen said. Jiang Chen laughed and scolded, still fighting wits, do you think you are MRS Cheng? Tan Shahen also laughed and said, don't tell me, I really feel a bit like sister-in-law King. However, sister-in-law King doesn't have rich friends. It's great to have a rich friend like you. This is who I am. I have the mood and the confidence to dare to fight with them. Don't draw cakes for me. Then tell me when you want the money, Jiang Chen said. Tan Shahen said, yes, if I don't tell you, I have nowhere to talk. I don't know anyone else who can give out 80 million without blinking an eye. Where did the Pole go? Jiang Chen asked. I haven't seen him for several days, and I can't get through on the phone. Is there anything wrong with this guy? He's fine. He's probably enjoying himself somewhere now, Tan Shahen said. Jiang Chen saw that Tan Shahen looked very calm when talking about Lu Ligan, unlike Lao Tan. Jiang Chen was surprised and asked, how do you know? Tan Shahen looked at the closed office door, lowered her voice and said to Jiang Chen, I asked him to stay away. Where does this song come from? If he were here and they were blocking him, would he still be able to walk? Besides, you don't know about this guy Ji. If others say a few nice words and set him up, he will write checks randomly if his pockets are empty. Tan Shahen said, if he is here, I have no way out. Only when he is gone, I have a way out. Jiang Chen asked, what retreat? I told them that the Pole had gone out to borrow money. I didn't know whether I could borrow it or not. If I asked them to wait, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it, right? After all, the Pole is the boss of this company, and I'm just a part-time worker. The Pole is not there, they can't do anything to me, Tan Shahen said. Jiang Chen nodded and understood. He asked, even Lao Tan doesn't know about this. I don't know, Tan Shahen said, heaven knows and earth knows, you know, and I know, and the Pole only knows half of it. I want to ask you to borrow money, but he doesn't know. Why did you even hide it from Lao Tan? Jiang Chen asked. Is Lao Tan anxious? Tan Shahen said with a smile, it's okay to be anxious, that's what it looks like. Look at our company. Now everyone is like an ant on a hot pot. I am the only one who is not impatient or impatient. Jiang Chen shook his head with a smile and cursed, after all, I am an actor, and I am still flawless when it comes to acting. Okay, just keep acting. Tan Shahen said, okay, just go home when you go out and don't let me cheat on you. Jiang Chen came out of Kiyoshi Academy feeling relieved. He drove back to the company. Thinking about Tan Shahen's words on the way, he couldn't help but laugh again. Tan Shahen, this Tan Shahen. Jiang Chen suddenly thought that if Tan Shahen had not been stuck at home by her parents that morning, but went to Hainan with them, he didn't know if there would not be so many Poles in the future. However, in this world, there is no if or and possibility anymore. Jiang Chen drove his car on the streets of Hangzhou, and Lu Ligan drove his Aston Martin on Binhai Avenue in Xiamen. Sitting in the passenger seat was a Taiwanese girl with long flowing hair. Look, that's the Golden Gate, the Taiwanese girl pointed to the sea and shouted. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night even though I didn't know who asked. Thank you for your monthly votes of no future, only remember the original intention, Palm 600812, Huaxin Yang Xiao, Book Friends 201912170332388847, Sinful Orchid Finger, and Book Friends 202011091113511923. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1336. It wasn't until the 25th of the new year, that is, January 16th, that Tan Shuhen told Zhang Chen that the money was needed, and she wanted it in batches, and asked Zhao Jingjing to help cooperate. Zhang Chen said okay, I will ask her to go to the bank now, and you can ask your finances to go there as well. Today is Friday, and the banks are closed on the following Saturdays and Sundays. Even if there is money in the account, you can't withdraw it. And if you have to wait until Monday, it will already be the 28th of the new year. Workers who have a long way to go home, it's too late. Tan Shuhen and her company had more than 20 people asking for money today. Everyone knows that whether you want to get money depends on today. On days like this, everyone's money is tight. If you don't have money, it will be delivered to your door automatically. If you have to, it's not a waste of time to stare at me. Anyway, if I don't go there to stare at him, I am also being stared at by workers at the construction site and work unit, so they all come here. There was no room in Tan Shuhen's office, so she invited them all to the conference room. People in the room were cursing and restless, but they knew that Lu Ligan was still outside borrowing money, and the phone was still unreachable. Apart from yelling, they had nothing to do. We couldn't get angry at Tan Shuhen. A woman like Tan Shuhen kept smiling at them, but even if she wanted to scold them, she couldn't. What's more, they still have to deal with each other, and they have a lot of time to beg Tan Shuhen. Tan Shuhen couldn't scold him, so they could only direct their anger at Lu Li, saying that he was too dishonest. Even if he didn't have money, they still had to say it and get through the phone. Tan Shuhen, in turn, excused Lu Ligan and told them, Mr. Lu can't turn on his phone now. He went to someone else's place to borrow money. If he turns on his phone, who among you can guarantee that he won't be beaten for half an hour, a phone call? If this adds up, if his phone is not disconnected, how can he talk to others? Besides, no one who is rich is a fool. You will know it is a call asking for money as soon as you hear it. Well, before I lend you the money, there is already a long queue of people asking for money at your place. Tell me, if this is the case, who would dare to lend money to Mr. Lu? If it were you, would you dare? Everyone in the conference room was speechless by Tan Shuhen. Thinking about it, this was really the case. No one who borrowed money would say that they were taking the money to pay off debts. Some people arrived. When they heard that they would have money today, they were not sure yet, so they called out first, saying that it was over. If they didn't get the money today, they would not be able to go back. If they went back, they would be beaten to death by the workers. Others echo that is, who is not like that? There were so many people in the conference room surrounding Tan Shuhen. Lao Tan was afraid that something would happen, so he called a few security guards and sat in his office. He kept calling Lu Ligan's phone, but the call was not getting through. The company's finances were nowhere to be found. Only Yao Fen and Tan Shuhen were dealing with the 20 or so people asking for money. Lao Tan didn't dare to walk over. Those people looked too ugly. Tan Shuhen was worried about Lao Tan passing by. If she would quarrel with them, she begged Lao Tan to stay in her office no matter what. Lao Tan sat in the office for a while and called Chu Tianlin. After the call, he couldn't help but stand up again and walk to the conference room. Tan Shuhen saw it and hurriedly greeted him. Lao Tan and Tan Shuhen said, I just called Tianlin. After she paid her wages and paid the paper money, she still has more than 3 million in her account. I asked her to call. You can see how to arrange it? I know this amount of money is definitely not enough, but it is better than nothing. Let each of them take a little and go back first. No, 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 brother Tan Shahan knew that she could no longer hide it from Lao Tan at this time, so she whispered to Lao Tan. Zhang Chen has made arrangements. Xiao Wang and Zhao Jingjing are now going through the procedures at the bank. Brother, please go back to the office and sit back and relax. When Lao Tan heard this, he felt relieved, knowing that he could pass this hurdle today. He said okay, then I will go back to the office. Zhang Chen and his company have accounts at the same ICBC as Lu Ligan's company, so Tan Shahan asked their financial officer Xiao Wang to go to the bank with Zhao Jingjing and transfer money over the counter. They could arrive on the spot. Tan Shahan told Xiao Wang to ask Zhao Jingjing transferred in batches, with the last batch transferred on Monday, which is used for payroll in their own company. She knew a lot of people were looking at their company's accounts, and she just didn't want too much money in them. At 10 o'clock, Xiao Wang called Tan Shahan and told her that the money had arrived. As soon as Tan Shahan's phone rang, the noisy people in the conference room suddenly became quiet. When Tan Shahan answered the phone, everyone stared at Tan Shahan eagerly, hoping that the call would bring them good news. When Tan Shahan hung up the phone, someone couldn't hold it back and asked anxiously, "Is it Mr. Liu's call?" Tan Shahan nodded. "What did Mr. Liu say?" "Did you borrow the money?" several people asked at the same time. Tan Shahan looked at them, sighed, and said, "Thank God, Mr. Liu finally borrowed money in Nanjing. The money has been sent out and will arrive at 3 o'clock in the afternoon." In the conference room, everyone cheered loudly. Tan Shahan and Yao Fen whispered a few words, and Yao Fen went out. After a while, she came back and handed an envelope to Tan Shahan. Tan Shahan said to the people in the conference room, "I have even prepared the check for the money that should be paid to you. You get the check and hand it over to the bank where we opened the account. We have already said hello and the bank will expedite processing. At 3 p.m. when you click exchange, the money will be in your account. You can take it out and quickly distribute it to the workers." Everyone said yes. By the way, make an appointment at your own bank. Although every bank will prepare extra cash in the past 2 days, you still have to make an appointment. If you don't get the money, you won't be able to withdraw it, Tan Shahan explained again. Everyone said okay, thank you Mr. Tan. And the last sentence, if anyone takes the money and doesn't pay it to the workers, but instead does it 7 times and 3 times, then I leave it here. Next time you come to get money from me, it won't be so easy. You know no. Tan Shahan looked serious and said seriously, everyone said that they were accurate. Tan Shahan took out a stack of checks from the envelope and handed them out one by one. The people who got the checks left quickly. The people in the conference room dispersed like a gust of wind, except for a few ashtrays. Cigarette butts, no one left, leaving only Tan Shahan and Yao Fen sitting there. Yao Fen smiled and said, "Why did it suddenly become quiet? My ears have been buzzing every day these days, like tinnitus." Tan Shahan asked, "Are they not used to it? If not, I will call them back." "No, no," Yao Fen said quickly. Lao Tan walked in from outside the door, looked at them and asked, "Are they all gone?" "They're all gone," Tan Shahan smiled. On Sunday, Lu Ligan came back from Xiamen. He drove directly to the company. He thought that there would be a room full of people asking for debts in the company, just like he did in his last days in Haikan. He had already made up his mind that if the soldiers came to cover up the water and the earth, he would go into battle shirtless and let them come at him no matter what they wanted to do. When Lu Ligan drove the car into the yard, he felt something strange. He saw that except for Tan Shahan and Lao Tan's car, there was no other car in the parking lot. What was going on? This place should be filled with cars and motorcycles from contractors and suppliers. He crossed the small bridge, entered Kyoshi Academy, and walked to Tan Shahen's office. He saw that only Tan Shahen and Lao Tan were sitting here, and there were no debtors. Lu Ligan smiled and said, "What happened? These people let us go." Tan Shahen rolled her eyes at him and cursed, "I've given them all the money I should give them. Why are they still here, just to see how beautiful you are?" "I gave you all the money, what's going on?" Lu Ligan asked. Tan Shahen then told him about the 80 million transferred from Zhang Chen. When Lu Ligan heard this, he became angry and cursed. "Who asked you to borrow this money? Didn't I tell you not to tell Zhang Chen anything about this place?" "It's not Zhen Zhen, it's me who told Zhang Chen about the company," Lao Tan said. "You couldn't get through on the phone. I went to the dynamic zone to find you, and when I met Zhang Chen, I told him." Tan Shahen was also annoyed and cursed back, "It's none of my business, it's me who borrowed it because I was cheap." "No, it was Zhang Chen who was also cheap. When he found out about our situation, he blamed me for not telling him." "Why, do you have any objections? If you have any objections, just take out the money. With so many people, do you think they are all here to listen to your story?" Lu Ligan shouted, "Even if I sell myself, I can't borrow this money." "Sold yourself? How much are you worth? Why didn't you sell it earlier if you could?" Tan Shahen scolded. Lao Tan was on the side, listening to the two people talking more and more outrageously, so he quickly said, sit down, Pol, talk to me if you have anything to say." Zhen Zhen did the right thing. If she didn't borrow this money, she would really not be able to survive this year. Moreover, something might happen. If something happens, that's the big trouble. Zhang Chen is not someone else, there's no shame in borrowing money from him. It's not a matter of shame or shame. It's just that I didn't do things with him at the beginning. We just did our own thing and thought about it. I felt like a broom star. I might run into trouble at some point. I couldn't drag him into it." Lu Ligan said. Tan Shahen sneered, "You think you can make the decision on this matter? Do you think Zhang Chen will just watch you fall and do nothing?" Lao Tan also said, "Pol, these are two different things. We are only encountering temporary capital turnover difficulties now. Our company is not about to collapse yet. This is the general climate and the difficulties of the entire industry. We have survived this period, that's good, the situation won't always be like this. Besides, it's normal for friends to help each other. I'm in Jiangxi. If you and Zhang Chen hadn't come to Shangri-O to find me, I don't know whether I, Lao Tan, would still be alive now. Also, if Tianlin didn't have the help of you and Zhang Chen to help her buy machines and turn the printing factory into if she did it, she wouldn't be where she is today. Why, you, Lu Ligan, are allowed to help your friends, but you can't allow your friends to help you too. What's your point? Thank you for the sinful orchid finger, Kinkinkin, Shiyo 2020226091249692, Haining Auto Parts, Nyuhuabapo Chuan Chuan, Shiyo 2021109111135193, Air is not human, U20051224, Mwu, Qingdao La Sun, Shiyo 2019020234155629, Cup Guy API, Tianying 1978, Zongkai 727, It's Not an Impossible World, Frivolous, Book Friends 2019018025224314, Gu Chan, Hu, why can't I change my name? It's so annoying, Huangpu's 20-issue monthly ticket. Thank you for all the votes and reading. Happy New Year to everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium era, south to north. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1337. During the Chinese New Year this year, no one, whether it was Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, or Meng Ping, seemed to be in the mood to drag the people out of the brigade and gather together. Needless to say, Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan and Jian Fang felt that this year was too difficult. There is a saying that you must have all the fun in life. On the other hand, when you are not happy, not only are you not in the mood to have all the fun, I can't even untie my frown, I just want to huddle in a corner and quietly count the ticks of time. In the winter of the real estate industry, the howling cold wind blows not only to Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen, but also to Jian Fang and others. Jian Fang and Tan Shahen said that the entire market is like being frozen, which is too difficult. Fortunately, Meng Ping still has not started any new projects. His Asia-Pacific business building is half an office building and half a new guest room of the Jinling Hotel. In the same building, the guest room part belongs to the Jinling Hotel and the office part belongs to Meng Ping, each with its own entrance and elevator. Carrying the title of the tallest building in Nanjing and the Jinling Hotel, his office buildings are selling well. The real estate industry is having a hard time, but other industries are not so sad. On the contrary, it is still a bit overheated, so it is still quite a lot to buy an office unit from him. Jian Fang and the others are also relying on Meng Ping's cash support to survive. Zhang Chen's parents decided to spend New Year's Eve in Hangzhou this year and then return to Yongcheng. They haven't returned to Yongcheng for several years. This year, they wanted to visit relatives and friends, pay New Year greetings, and visit their ancestors' graves. They knew Zhang Chen hated New Year greetings, so he stayed alone in Hangzhou with him. Anyway, Hung Mei was coming soon, so he wouldn't be alone. They also wanted to create more time for Zhang Chen and Hung Mei to be alone together. Lao Zhang drove his own car and took Zhang Chen's mother and Zhang Xiangbei to Yongcheng at the beginning of the year. Tan Shahen and her family simply went back to Yongcheng on the 29th of the year when the company had a holiday. Their New Year's Eve dinner was all eaten in Yongcheng. What Tan Shahen's mother meant was that if the Yongcheng family didn't get together for too long, they wouldn't be able to get together. Well, it doesn't look like home. But from the bottom of their hearts, both Lao Tan and Mrs. Tan feel that this house in Hangzhou is Tan Shahen's home, and Yongcheng is their own home. Even if they have lived in Hangzhou for so long, their lives have already changed. Habit, they still think so emotionally. Lao Yang also followed Tan Shahen and the others back to Yongcheng on the 29th of the year. Lin Shuwen has no relatives in Taiwan anyway. They have already brought old Tang's parents to Hangzhou, live in Peach Blossom Spring, and help them take care of their children. They will celebrate the New Year in Hangzhou this year. Every morning, old Tang drove Lin Shuwen out and went to the Linking Foreign Language School. He dropped Lin Shuwen off and stayed on duty at the school while he drove to the factory to work on duty. In the evening, he came to pick up Lin Shuwen again. Although they don't understand why they have to be on duty during the Spring Festival, it seems that all units are like this, so they just follow the crowd. It's like they don't understand why all units have to be on duty during the Spring Festival holiday. There is a seal on the door, but if others have posted it, they will follow suit. Lin Shuwen has long since felt in her heart that she is a mainlander. Sometimes when she thinks of Taiwan, she feels that it is already very far away. Without Liu Bang and Wang Minsheng, the founders of the Han Dynasty, they would often travel between the two places and talk to her about familiar names of places and people. She will feel more distant. Liu Bang and Wang Minsheng, the founders of the Han Dynasty, have returned to Taiwan to celebrate the New Year. However, this year's journey is harder than last year. Zhang Chen and his parents, Xiao Zhao's parents, Zhang Xiangbei, Xiao Shu, and Yao Fen had New Year's Eve dinner together. The next day, when Lao Zhang and the others returned to Yongcheng, Xiao Shu opened the Che, together with Yao Fen, took his parents to play nearby. They went to Suzhou, Zhouchuang, Tongli, and when they came back, they went to Wuhan. Xiaoshu and Yao Fen are now in a relationship. Xiao Zhao's parents also like Yao Fen very much and think she is a good girl. The only regret that Xiao Zhao's mother feels is that Yao Fen is 6 years older than Xiaoshu. Zhang Chen's mother and Xiao Zhao's mother said, "What are you afraid of when you are 6 years older? I think Xiaoshu doesn't know how to take care of himself. If you find someone about the same age as you, neither of them knows how to take care of yourself. You have to worry even more." Yao Fen was old and attentive, so she took good care of him. After hearing this, Xiao's mother felt that it made sense, so she felt calm. On the day of the first grade of junior high school, everyone at home had left, leaving Zhang Chen alone. He called Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan said he was busy. Zhang Chen knew when he heard a woman's voice on the phone. Lu Ligan is indeed busy. Ever since Lu Ligan found out that Tan Shahan borrowed 80 million from Zhang Chen, when he saw Zhang Chen, he felt like he was seeing a ghost, and he was still avoiding him everywhere. When Zhang Chen called him, he felt like he was being burned by the phone. Seeing the same thing, I hung up the phone in a hurry. Zhang Chen didn't know what was going on and didn't bother to ask. After he spent the first day of the new year alone, He Hongmei came on the second day of the new year. He was also very busy. Zhang Chen went to the airport to pick up He Hongmei. They stayed at the international building for one night. Zhang Chen suddenly had a whim and said to He Hongmei, "Let's go climb Mount Huang. The snow-capped top of Mount Huang must be beautiful. The most important thing is, there are definitely very few people on the mountain now." He Hongmei agreed upon hearing this. The two of them got up early the next day and drove to Huangshan. In the afternoon, they arrived at Tangkao town at the foot of Huangshan. Only then did they know that Huangshan has been closed to tourists. No entry allowed. Zhang Chen discussed with the manager on duty whether he could let them go up. The manager told him that now on the mountain, even the people in Yuping Tower and Bihai Hotel have come down. If you go up, you will have no place to stay or food. What are you doing up there when you get something to eat? He Hongmei said from the side, "It doesn't matter, we can bring our own sleeping bags and food." "You don't have anything to do with us," the manager said. "The mountains are covered with snow now, and it's very dangerous. If you have any chance, we will send hundreds of people up the mountain to search. Let's go, let's celebrate the Chinese New Year, yeah, stop making trouble here." The two people had no choice but to stand at the foot of the mountain, look up at Mount Huangshan, and then walk back. Huangshan could not be climbed, so they wandered around, going to Zidi, Honkan, and then Tungzi and Shakxian. Fortunately, these places were good, and they finally came back from their depression. In Tungzi Old Street, they ate stinky mandarin fish and hairy tofu. After finishing the meal, He Hongmei said, "It's over. I feel like I didn't come out of a restaurant, but came out of the toilet. Even my nose was still smelly of." When they got to the car, Zhang Chen wanted to kiss He Hongmei, but He Hongmei refused and hid away. She said no, she must brush her teeth first. After returning to the hotel, He Hongmei went to the bathroom immediately and brushed her teeth carefully. After brushing, she felt that she could still smell the smell, so she took another shower and pulled Zhang Chen in to take a shower and brush her teeth together. They said they were taking a shower together, but in fact they spent more time hugging and kissing, making themselves excited. The two fell on the bed and fell asleep after being exhausted. When Zhang Chen woke up, it was already past 6 o'clock and it was already dark outside. Zhang Chen saw He Hongmei's eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling above her head. "Look. What are you thinking about?" Zhang Chen asked. "I'm reminiscing," He Hongmei said. "Aftertaste of what? Don't you think that the stinky mandarin fish and hairy tofu are still delicious when you think about it now?" He Hongmei said. Zhang Chen laughed and said, "I don't think so." He Hongmei turned over and got up from the bed. Then she made sure to pull Zhang Chen up and told him, Let's go and verify. The two of them went to the same restaurant at noon and ordered stinky mandarin fish and hairy tofu. When they were almost done eating, He Hongmei asked Zhang Chen, "How was it?" I feel a little delicious now," Zhang Chen said. "Really? Practice has proven that I am right," He Hongmei said proudly. "Then let's eat here for 3 days. Stinky mandarin fish is also called bucket fresh fish and pickled fresh fish. Pickled fresh means smelly in Huizhou dialect. Tungzi is ancient Huizhou. Huizhou did not produce mandarin fish before. The most famous people in Huizhou, besides Huimo, are Huisuan and other famous Huizhou merchants. Huizhou merchants have been doing business in Shanghai, Suzhou, and Hangzhou for many years. When they returned to their hometown, I wanted to take the mandarin fish back to my family to try, but it would take a long time on the road and I would definitely not be able to bring fresh mandarin fish home. They killed the fish, salted it, and then took it home. But even so, when they got home, the fish was still a little smelly, and they couldn't bear to throw it away, so they braised it. They found that it tasted different. The cooking of stinky mandarin fish has become popular in Huizhou. After they slaughtered the live fish, they removed the internal organs. They put a layer of fish, a layer of salt and ginger and garlic in a cedar barrel, and put a stone drum on top. They moved the stone drum away every day and turned the fish in the barrel up and down once. After 5 or 6 days of this, the smelly mandarin fish will be marinated. Stinky mandarin fish is the same as hairy tofu. It smells bad and tastes delicious. Use chopsticks to open the fish meat. The fermented fish meat is like the meat of large yellow croaker. The bone spurs are separated from the fish meat, especially there are no thin bones like ordinary river fish. The fish meat is in chunks, the color is as warm as jade, the meat is firm and elastic. Put a chopstick into your mouth and chew slowly, you can taste a special taste that radiates from the inside out, as if the aroma is coming from the fish bones. Zhang Chen and He Hongmei, they really stayed in Tungzi for 3 days and ate stinky mandarin fish and hairy tofu for 3 days before going to Shi County. They found out in Shi County that not only stinky mandarin fish and hairy tofu are also available here, and a kind of stone cake. This kind of wheat cake is filled with pickled vegetables, tofu, green garlic, and pork belly. There is a large pan on the street, drizzled with oil. After the wheat cake is put into the pan, a drum-shaped bluestone is used to press it on both sides. Fry until golden brown and take a bite, fragrant and crispy. He Hongmei and Zhang Chen said, "It's a shame, I knew we should have stayed here for 3 days." Zhang Chen laughed and said, "Then just stay for 3 days. Thank you to the evergreen Emperor Yan, who ranked third from top to bottom, and rewarded 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to evergreen Yan Dottie, Lu, Yun Menjeo, Book Friends 201912162129444508, Brokeback Mountain, Cheng Shanming, Bronze, 1890-798-3117, Book Friends 1101152336518898, Cup Guy API, Guzio Kyokiu, Pondalong, WXD121, PCM 600812, Book Friends 1302211840471110. Air Non-Human, Dal Tin Soldier, reading books every day, after 3 in the night, 3rd ranked monthly ticket from top to bottom. Thank you for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1338. On the 2nd day of the Lunar New Year, that is, the day Zhang Chen and He Hongmei set off for Huangshan, Tan Shehen drove back to Hangzhou from Yongcheng alone. The real estate industry said that gold is 9 and silver is 10, but in fact there is a small climax, that is, in the first month, buying a house is very important for every household. For everyone, it's all big things. During the Spring Festival, family members who work and study in other places come back. It's just the right time to do big things. Tan Shahen still remembers the time when their peach blossom land opened. During the first lunar month, there was a small climax. Lu Ligan and his company, including Sky City and Hangzhou Center, have a total of 7 projects in Hangzhou. These 7 sales offices are working overtime in the first month of the year. It is no longer hard to find a house in Hangzhou. The market has changed, and their attitude must also be lowered. Lu Ligan discussed with Tan Shahen and Lao Tan, and they judged that under the current situation, most of the customers who have already paid the deposit will give up the deposit directly. There is also a large part of the houses that were originally ordered by several of their projects in order to slow down and control the speed of house release. This part of the house is said to be sold to the outside world, but in fact it is still in their own hands. At this time, they will have to find a way to push this part of the house out first. Tan Shahen went to several places, gave out red envelopes to everyone, and asked about the sales situation. In fact, there was no need to ask more. Looking at their unmotivated faces, Tan Shahen knew in her heart that the situation would definitely not be good. Sure enough, every sales office complained to her that there were many people looking at the property, but there were no buyers, and there were also no people who paid deposits to book a room. After a morning of gossiping, those people were like uncles, one after another. I turned around in a circle, and in the end, let alone buying it, I left without even saying thank you. There is another one who simply has 5 room numbers in his hand and is here to ask if the deposit can be refunded. He is yelling that he transferred this room number from someone else at a higher price, so you should be conscientious. If I admit compensation, can you refund me the original price? Of course, the sales lady couldn't agree, so he just stood in the sales department and scolded her, saying all kinds of unpleasant things. In the end, no one stood up, whether it was the staff in the sales department or the crowd watching the excitement. On his side, there were also people who couldn't get the number when they grabbed it. They were probably angry with those who had grabbed the number, and they were still laughing at them. Who would buy 5 houses? Aren't you just a real estate speculator? If the price of this house number increases now, will you still call here? Others responded, saying that the most hateful thing is these real estate speculators, they deserve to die. Seeing that he couldn't get any advantage, the man glared at the crowd and walked away. Tan Shahen arrived at the center of Hangzhou. The situation here was slightly better. The person from the sales department told her that a few people had decided to buy the office, but the money to buy the office had to come out of the company's account, so it had to wait until after work. As he said this, he felt uncertain and continued, not knowing whether it was true or not. Don't worry, Mr. Tan, I will follow up. Tan Shahen felt as helpless as the sales lady, but she still said a few words of encouragement before leaving. After coming out of the center of Hangzhou, Tan Shahen originally wanted to go to the city in the sky. She looked at the time and saw that it was already past 4 o'clock. She spent too much time listening to the people below complaining and complaining. The person must be patient enough to let the other person understand your feelings. On the contrary, if a person keeps talking to you about his happiness, you can interrupt him at any time, say come on or awesome and then walk away. He is almost dizzy with his own happiness, and you can't listen. Listening actually doesn't matter. It takes 40 or 50 minutes to drive from here to the city in the sky. By the time she arrives, the sales office will be off work, so Tan Shahen decides to go again tomorrow morning. Tan Shahen rushed back to Hangzhou from Yongcheng today. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. She couldn't let it go. She had to come and have a look. When they returned to Yongcheng on the 29th of the year, her mother took away everything in the refrigerator. When I returned home, there was nothing to eat. Tan Shahen was alone and didn't want to eat in a hotel. She knew that Zhang Chen was still in Hangzhou and that He Hongmei should have arrived, so she didn't want to disturb them. After thinking about it, she drove to the supermarket and bought 2 tubes of noodles. a box of eggs and 2 handfuls of vegetables. She felt that she could rely on these for the past 2 days, so she returned to the Meesi River. Tan Shahen parked the car and just walked to the door of her house when her cell phone rang and she picked it up. It was Ying Ying. Ying Ying heard from her former sales department staff that Tan Shahen was back, so she called her right away. Go to her house for dinner. Tan Shahen said, forget it, I'll be at home and just do something to deal with it. Ying Ying said, no, just wait, Mr. Tan, I will come to pick you up right away. Tan Shahen smiled and said, okay, text me your home address and I will drive over. She walked home, put vegetables, eggs and noodles in the refrigerator, and said to them, okay, I will deal with you tomorrow. Tan Shahen closed the refrigerator door and was about to go out when the phone rang again. She thought it was Ying Ying, so she picked it up and took a look, but it was Lao Wan. Lao Wan also came from the sales department and knew that Tan Shahen was back, so he called her to have dinner. Told her that Zheng Huiyang happened to be at home today. Tan Shahen quickly said to Lao Wan, thank you, I am about to go to Ying Ying's house for dinner. Then tomorrow, will Mr. Tan come over for dinner tomorrow? Lao Wan called, and Zheng Huiyang called from the side, Sister Shahen, I will be at home tomorrow, and I will have to work overtime the day after tomorrow. Come on. Tan Shahen said, okay, then I will come tomorrow night. Tan Shahen got into the car and the phone rang again. It was Song Chunming. Song Chunming also came to ask her to come home for dinner. Tan Shahen could only thank her and told him that she would go to Ying Ying's house today and Lao Wan's place tomorrow. Then the day after tomorrow, would you like to come to my house for dinner the day after tomorrow? Song Chunming said, my wife hasn't seen you yet, and she really wants to see you. Tan Shahen agreed. Next, calls came in one after another from Gi Hua, Zhang Mushan, Su Wenhui, Fan Jiangguo, and the manager of their company's finance department, all of whom wanted to treat her to dinner. Tan Shahen could only make separate appointments with them one by one. Every time she put down the phone, Tan Shahen felt a little emotional in her heart. She originally thought that she would be alone at home today, holding vegetables and egg noodles, watching TV, but she didn't expect so many dinner parties to come suddenly. She had arranged her meal time until the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. What moved her was not that there was food to eat, but that these people seemed to care about the company. They were each guarding a stall outside. Originally, they only wanted to stare at her. Yes, the quality of sales in Hangzhou has nothing to do with them, but they obviously don't. They are in contact with the sales department here every day, and only then do they know the news of her return. Tan Shahen thought to herself that she could also take advantage of the meal with the general managers of each branch to learn more about the situation in each place. Tan Shahen started the car and drove out of the underground garage. When the car was driving on Fenki Road, her cell phone rang again. This time it was Lao Tan. Lao Tan also came to ask Tan Shahen to go to Dehua Yuan for dinner. Tan Shahen quickly said that she on the way to Ying Ying's house for dinner. I also told Lao Tan that I went to various sales offices and looked at it, and it looked like what we had judged, and it was not ideal. I went to Old Tan smiled and said, I went to 2 places, and you just left both of them. By the way, Zhen, what are your arrangements for tomorrow? I want to visit the city in the sky, Tan Shahen said. Okay, I'll go with you and I'll pick you up tomorrow morning, Lao Tan said, and Tan Shahen agreed. After hanging up the phone, Tan Shahen thought that all the middle and high-level personnel of the company had called her. The only one who didn't call her was Lu Ligan. Is this guy really indifferent to the company's sales? He asked anyway and knew that Tan Shahen had returned to Hangcheng from Yongcheng, but he just didn't call her. Humph, if you don't call me, don't expect me to call you, don't even think about it. Tan Shahen scolded angrily in her heart. After scolding, she shook her head and left. She felt that her current relationship with Lu Ligan was a bit strange. Both of them maintained a calm and peaceful relationship on the surface, but this calmness was actually a bit pretentious. Are all sulking? Tan Shahen couldn't figure out why she was so angry, and she didn't want to think about it too much, so let's leave it at that. Lu Ligan and Meng Ping were both at the home of a girl named Yi Yi. The man of the house, who called them over to eat and play mahjong, was Lao Ni. This Yi Yi is not a stewardess, but a model. She is a model from New Silk Road. She was one of the models who walked the catwalk during the last Zhongchen fashion show. When Lao Ni saw it at that time, he told Lu Ligan and Meng Ping that this girl good. Neither Meng Ping nor Lu Ligan knew how Lao Ni caught up with Yi Yi. When asked, he just smiled and said nothing. However, Meng Ping thought of the first scene when Lao Ni chased Fi Fei, so he just followed her on the plane. You know, Lao Ni's tenacity in chasing girls is unmatched by ordinary people. Lao Ni refused to say anything, so Lu Ligan asked Yi Yi, how did this old comrade fall in love with you? Yi Yi was very honest. She curled her lips and said, how do you buy it? It's money. She kept raising the price, and finally it got so high that I thought, why do I have to work so hard on the stage? I'm always a little older, and it's not like having a kidney transplant anyway. If you are interested, go with him. We are now in Hangzhou. Lu Ligan and Meng Ping laughed, and Lao Ni also laughed and shouted, let's go to mahjong. Mahjong started, but Meng Ping felt a little disappointed. He originally thought that Chen Yakin and the others would still be working overtime this time. Didn't they still have to make external games for Lao Ni? Unexpectedly, they were also on holiday. Meng Ping called Chen Yakin, and Chen Yakin said that the external market was no longer interesting and there was no need to work overtime. What's wrong? Meng Ping asked. Several agricultural products in Chicago are in the ultra-long-term business. They set up profit and loss stops and let them go. Here in London, our country is now the largest demander of non-ferrous metals, and they will in turn be affected by the prices on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. When our domestic market was closed, not only did the trading volume shrink significantly and became deserted, but the market was also like a headless fly, unable to find its direction. So, we closed the short-term orders before the holidays, and now we have nothing to do. Chen Yakin and Meng Ping said. Meng Ping said oh and couldn't find anything to say. Chen Yakin originally wanted to ask jokingly. What, you want to go to Biko Garden and Sanwei bookstore again? Then come, I'll go with you. But when Meng Ping said oh and fell silent, Chen Yakin did not say this. They hung up. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward of 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you Wawa Zibing, Lao Chantang, Book Friends 20190420175818, Young Little Aubin, Yuingzi, A Have a Safe Journey, Zipanjiang 1, 8 Liang, Zongkai 727, Huangpu 20th issue, PCM 600812, Zhang Long, Jinwu Longji, Yunmen. A monthly pass for Haraka 1998. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1339. Tan Shahen and Lao Tan went to the city in the sky the next day. The entire framework of their city in the sky has been completed. The construction of roads, parks, lakes, and squares has been completed. It is now being built block by block. The house, like a puzzle piece, puts together the entire city in the sky. As the car drove into the city in the sky, the two of them became excited. They saw many cars parked on both sides of the street and many people on the street. When they drove to the park and the lake, there were even more people playing here. And when we arrived at the European-style square in the city center, there were more young men and women taking pictures here. It seems that their city in the sky has become famous, and everyone regards it as a free tourist attraction and comes to visit during the holidays. This not only shows that their project is eye-catching, but it also puts pressure on them. In the first month alone, they have arranged more than 30 security guards and cleaners to work overtime. The place is too big and there are not so many people. Just too busy. Whether it is a park or a square, you must prevent many tourists from man-made damage and pay attention to protect their safety. Even if you are free, as long as someone has an accident here, they will still be responsible, not to mention those who discard it randomly. It's full of garbage. If no one takes care of it, within 3 days, this city in the sky will become a city of garbage. In any case, it always makes Tan Shahan and Lao Tan happy to see so many people coming to play. They then went to the sales office next to the square, but they couldn't be happier. They saw that the sales office was deserted, which was in sharp contrast to the canteen and fast food restaurant next door. Those two places were crowded. When the place is full, it looks like it can bring them some income and reduce costs. The two people walked into the sales department. When the people inside saw them, they shouted excitedly, but then their faces turned gray again. The manager came over to greet them. Tan Shahan asked the manager, "How is it?" The manager shook his head and said to them, "There is no one." The few who came in were still eating noodles on the side. They had nothing to do while waiting for the noodles, so they came in to take a look. After the manager finished speaking, the three people smiled bitterly and shook their heads. In their Sky City project, 3 communities have been opened for sale. There are a total of 2,182 houses in these 3 communities. After several housing fairs, all the houses have been booked long ago, but by the time the market is opened, at that time, only 133 houses actually came to sign a house purchase agreement and pay a down payment. This ratio was shockingly different. Their sales staff called those who had already reserved a house to inform them that they could come and sign the purchase agreement. All those home buyers are pushing, either because they don't have time, or because they are on a business trip, but they refuse to tell them whether they want the house or not. They are obviously waiting and seeing. Anyway, it was stated in the original agreement. After receiving a notice after the opening of the market, if you do not come to sign the house purchase agreement for 3 months, you will be deemed to have automatically given up your qualifications to purchase a house. Isn't there still more than 1 month left before the 3-month deadline? Wait. Tan Shahan and Lao Tan know in their hearts that if this trend is followed, the next properties built here will have this fate. If so, what worries Tan Shahan is that the entire city in the sky will die and will become ghost town. The Sky City project is different from other projects. They were originally planned and developed as a residential town. The number of residents in the town will directly affect the progress of the supporting facilities in the future. It is far from the main city. Without a corresponding number of passengers, the bus company will not open bus lines. In the same way, hospitals, schools, and kindergartens cannot be opened, and even police stations cannot be established. Unless all of these are done by the company itself invest. Even if you have money to invest, you don't have this authority. Who would allow you, a real estate company, to open hospitals, schools, and police stations by yourself? The population base is not enough, and the business climate here cannot be formed. If you give the stalls at the farmers' market to others for free, they will not come, let alone department stores and large supermarkets. These are necessary for a small town to live in. What they have, they will have nothing. The little property fee collected every month is not enough to pay the electricity bill to ensure that the street lights are bright every day, let alone such a large property team to maintain the operation of this town. This place will become a black hole, and they need to invest a large amount of money into it every day, silently, not even a ding-dong sound can be heard. At the same time, the lack of these supporting facilities will turn this place into a vicious cycle. The fewer people there are, the worse the supporting facilities will be. The worse the supporting facilities will be, the less attractive they will be. Even though they are all tourists now, These are just short-lived flowers. Superficial glitz. Tan Shahen thought about the scene when they first decided to build this project. Now it seems that the ideal at that time was indeed beautiful, but the reality now is very cruel. Why did they not expect such an ending at the time? When people paint a beautiful picture for themselves, they will probably continue to use this beautiful scenery to hint and convince themselves, and finally make themselves believe that all this is true, and they will not even have the slightest thought of possibility or possibility. Allow them to appear. Tan Shahen sighed softly. Lao Tan seemed to understand what she was thinking and said to her, "Maybe it's not that bad. After a while, everything will get better." "I don't believe it. Didn't you say that real estate is a pillar industry? It's only been said for half a year. Will you allow this pillar to collapse like this?" Tan Shahen smiled and said, "I hope, but brother, this pillar has fallen, and our companies have also fallen. This place is still here, and it will not lose an inch, let alone disappear with us. Today we belong to Jinxiu, and in a few years, we may also belong to Xiajin, are you right? If that were the case, wouldn't it chill the hearts of a large number of people?" Lao Tan said. "What are you afraid of?" "I'm worried that I won't be able to win over someone who is determined," Tan Shahen said with a bitter smile. "Brother, you have experienced the Hainan real estate bubble. So many people are desperate and want to cry without tears, so what? This society is not quickly dump them and move on." The two of them got into the car and walked back. They sat in the car without saying a word. They both felt as if their hearts were being pressed by a huge boulder, which was very heavy. When we were almost driving to the city, Lao Tan said, "Come to my place for lunch. Tianlin has already prepared it?" Tan Shahen nodded. When Zhang Chen and He Hongmei came back from Anhui, Liu Bang and Wang Minzheng, the founders of the Han dynasty, also rushed back from Taiwan because of troubles on the mainland. Everyone was back, so they had to get together again, at the Tuxian Jiayuan Hotel. It was the 10th day of the Lunar New Year, and He Hongmei went back to Beijing the next day. 3 days after He Hongmei returned to Beijing, Zhang Chen also came to Beijing. This time, he was not here for He Hongmei, but Xiaoli called him and said it was the Wangfujing Street Neighborhood Committee, informing him to go to the district for a meeting, and explained that he could not ask for leave and be sure to attend. Xiaoli said that even the people from the street who came to notify her refused to tell what the specific matter was. Zhang Chen had just arrived in Beijing. He Hongmei came to pick him up at the airport. She was also very confused. What would happen if Zhang Chen was named in this district? They did not go back to He Hongmei's studio today, but stayed at the Wangfu Hotel so that it would be more convenient when they went to the district the next day. After settling in, Zhang Chen and He Hongmei went to the store. Xiao Li felt sad for a while when she saw him coming. In the past, Xiao Zhao would come to Beijing and stay in Beijing for a few days before going back. Zhang Chen and Xiao Li said, "I will also treat you to dinner tonight." Xiao Li scolded, "What's the use of that?" Zhang Chen said yes, then he wouldn't invite him. Xiao Li quickly said, "You still have to treat me to a meal, you can't be so stingy." He Hongmei said, Please, it's up to him whether he goes or not. Let's go. Anyway, if he doesn't pay for the meal, we won't let him go back to Hangzhou." Xiaoli and the others said yes. While eating, Zhang Chen asked again what would happen when he went to the district tomorrow. Xiaoli said she didn't know, it seemed quite mysterious, but she just refused to say, "Oh, we'll know it tomorrow anyway." The next morning, He Hongmei accompanied Zhang Chen to Dongcheng district. Someone was registering at the door. After verifying Zhang Chen's identity information, he was asked to go to the district town hall. Zhang Chen and He Hongmei were shocked when they arrived at the venue. They saw there are already more than 100 people here. They found a seat and sat down. Everyone in front of them and behind them were asking about what kind of meeting they were here for today, but no one knew. They sat for more than 10 minutes, and the meeting began. The first thing was leadership mobilization. Only then did the two people know that in order to prepare for the Beijing Olympics in 2008, the Wangfujing area was going to undergo large-scale transformation. I hope everyone would support this country and the city of Beijing. Big event. No wonder the boss of each unit must attend, no wonder no one is allowed to ask for leave. Then the content and method of renovation were announced. A large part of the old houses would be demolished. Zhang Chen heard that his half-acre field store was within the scope of demolition. Zhang Chen and He Hongmei sat there and looked at each other, feeling sorry but helpless. They also knew that this was a big event that no one could stop. Once they decided, they had to do it. What's more, their house is still rented. They don't have the right to decide whether they want to demolish it or not. As for relocation compensation and decoration compensation, there are unified standards. There is no way to bargain. Zhang Chen feels that there is no point in bargaining. Zhang Chen still felt sad just thinking that his store would disappear from now on. At the end of the meeting, everyone in attendance was asked to sign a commitment letter to relocate on time within 3 months. Zhang Chen signed the commitment letter without even looking at the content. There was a voice in his heart saying, "So our half-acre field Beijing store still has 3 months left in this world." Zhang Chen held He Hongmei's hand tightly, and the two of them walked outside. He Hongmei looked at Zhang Chen. She saw that Zhang Chen was silent and said nothing, but she knew that he must be very sad in his heart. The wheel of the times rolled over him. When the car came over, I didn't even have a mantis arm to block the car. They returned to the specialty store. When Xiaoli saw them coming back, she hurriedly came over to ask what happened. Zhang Chen didn't answer, but He Hongmei told her. Xiaoli started to cry when she heard it. Zhang Chen comforted her in turn and said, it's okay, whatever is supposed to come will always come." After saying that, he himself felt that these words were too frivolous. It is true that he is the owner of this store, but this is just one of his several specialty stores. For Xiaoli, this is her day and night, her far away from relatives, days and nights after arriving in Beijing alone. Zhang Chen felt like an irresponsible father. He ignored the child after it was born, but it was Xiaoli who raised him every day. Xiaoli was the one who really fulfilled all the responsibilities of a mother. Zhang Chen reached out and hugged Xiaoli, patting her gently on the back. Thank you to user 0137-615-9840 for the reward. Thank you Huaxin Yongxiao, Ba Liang, Big-Eyed Dragonfly, Guzio Kyokiu, PCM600812, Sun Boxhan, and Chiyo 201811261540468892 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1340. Zhang Chen stayed in Beijing for a few more days. At first, he wanted to find a suitable place to reopen a specialty store, but after searching for a few days, he decided to give up. First of all, the rent of houses in Beijing is now terrifyingly high. Everyone feels that the 8th Olympic Games is an opportunity, and this opportunity should first be reflected in the rent of your own house. In addition, Beijing is undergoing large-scale demolition. Wherever you go, you can see a big circle drawn with red paint on the wall, with the word demolish written inside. More and more people are looking for houses, which can be used for there are fewer and fewer houses for rent. Zhang Chen saw a store in Dashiler. The location was not as good as theirs in Wangfujing. The area was only 2/3 the size, but the rent was twice as high. I looked for 2 more houses in Sanlitun and Zhongguancun, and it was the same situation. With such a high rent, Xiaoli was worried. She said that if I said this, I would be under too much pressure. Zhang Chen even looked around the Zhu and De Hongmen. What he was thinking was that since there were no suitable houses in the commercial district, he might as well go and squeeze in with the clothing market. There should be a lot of individual tourists there every day, and he could also move around Beijing. Second and third level agents have developed, but the results are not ideal. The merchants here are panic-stricken, and they are beating the drum in their hearts. News of demolition has spread one after another. How could Zhang Chen dare to step in rashly? Not only the Zhu and the De Hongmen area, but also other places. What makes Zhang Chen hesitate the most is that there are still more than 3 years between now and the 8th Beijing Olympics. No landlord can guarantee that his house will be here. It will not be demolished for 3 years. For Zhang Chen and the others, it would take a year or two to open a specialty store just to cultivate a regular customer base, not to mention the amount of energy spent on decoration. The feeling of demolition is too painful. Zhang Chen, Xiao Li, and He Hongmei discussed together and finally decided to rent a warehouse and office in Beijing to focus on shopping malls and no longer open specialty stores. Xiao Li said, "I will try to open 3 more counters in shopping malls, so that the sales volume can be almost equal to that of a specialty store. The salespersons in the store are also ready-made and can be sent there for use." The matter was thus settled. After deciding not to open a specialty store, Zhang Chen and Xiao Li felt even more distressed when they looked at the current store. Xiao Li raised her right hand, spread her 5 fingers and said to Zhang Chen, "Only one can count, Mr. Zhang, I'm here, the days in this store are numbered. Why do I feel worse than breaking up with my boyfriend?" Xiao Li said she was about to cry again. Zhang Chen quickly teased her, "Why, you broke up with your boyfriend again?" "Go," Xiao Li scolded, "I don't want him this time." Zhang Chen smiled and nodded, "Yeah, I guess it will be the same this time, and they will be reconciled after a week." "Impossible, I will definitely ignore him before this store closes. I have to stay with this store and have no time to care about him," Xiao Li said. Zhang Chen laughed. He Hongmei sent Zhang Chen to the airport. Seeing that Zhang Chen looked gloomy and a little distressed, she reached out and grabbed Zhang Chen's ears, kept shaking his head, and said to him, "Don't be sad, okay, no, the specialty store is no longer available, don't be sad." Zhang Chen shouted, "You are not Xiangnan, and I am not Zhang Xiangbei, why are you holding your ears? Don't you know that Xiangnan no longer picks up Xiangbei's ears or calls him a fool?" He Hongmei asked. Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment. Thinking about it, it was true. Zhang Chen asked, "Why?" He Hongmei did not answer, but smiled, "But Zhang Xiangbei's father, these ears can be lifted, so just let me try, okay?" Zhang Chen smiled and said yes. "Say good again and say you're not sad anymore," He Hongmei said. "Okay, okay, okay." Zhang Chen said a lot. But when the plane took off, Zhang Chen looked at Beijing getting smaller and smaller below, and felt sad. Without the specialty store, he felt as if a branch had been cut off from his roots, and he couldn't help but feel a little unsteady. This winter has passed, and it has not snowed yet, but Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan felt that it was adding insult to injury. After the Spring Festival, 2 words appeared frequently in the media, namely macro control and soft landing. From top to bottom, macro control began, striving to bring down the overheated economy and realize the soft landing of the Chinese economy. Soft landing. Coal, electricity, and oil transportation are already under overall stress, investment remains high, GDP has entered double-digit growth, prices are rising rapidly, coupled with increasingly serious foreign exchange speculation, and soaring housing prices, etc. According to experts, it is a manifestation of an overheated economy, and the one that is most eye-catching and has the greatest opinions among the people is housing prices. Macro control has the most immediate effect. The fastest way to achieve the goal is to tighten money. Capital-intensive industries like real estate are of course the first to bear the brunt. The first blow of macro control is originally aimed at real estate. This urinal is so eye-catching. They put themselves on the table. How can they not be hidden? Since the beginning of 2004, various real estate credit control policies have been introduced in waves. On February 26, the China Banking Regulatory Commission issued the Guidelines for Real Estate Loan Risk Management of Commercial Banks, draft for comment. The guidelines stipulate that the ratio of real estate loan balances to total loan balances shall not exceed 30%. Although this guidelines has no direct impact on Lu Ligan's company, it sends a strong signal to the whole society, that is, the good days of real estate developers are not only over, but they will prepare to live in hard times. The tightening of money is tantamount to draining cash flow from the market, which will directly lead to the closure of real estate companies that rely on bank loans for survival. Not only real estate developers understand the policy, but ordinary people also know that the term macro control is very simple in layman's terms, that is, the central government believes that everything is too expensive and needs to be reduced in price. Since it is necessary to reduce prices, those buyers who originally held cash to buy houses have tightened their grip on their pockets, while those who are real estate speculators have to seize the opportunity to flee. Whether you run fast or slowly, whether you run away or not, depends on how much you lower the price of the house in your hand. Even if the price is lowered, there may not be anyone who will buy it. Don't they all say that you should buy when it goes up and not when it goes down? Then continue to watch, and it depends on you. How much further can it fall? Next, on April 11, the central bank announced that starting from April 25, 2004, financial institutions with capital adequacy ratios below a certain level will implement a deposit reserve ratio of 8%. Banks, foreign capital and other financial institutions will implement a deposit reserve ratio of 7.5%. This is to further drain the cash flow from the market. Real estate developers who are already living a miserable life have to find ways to find even the coins in the corner of the drawer. On April 27, a heavier blow came. The State Council issued a notice to increase the capital ratio of real estate development fixed asset investment projects, excluding affordable housing, from 20% to 35% and above. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan were dumbfounded by this combination of punches. It was still a soft landing. It was like they were falling from upstairs and still landed head first. Relying on the office buildings in the center of Hangzhou and the sporadic sales of various sales departments, especially the housing in school districts that have not cooled down in each city, Lu Ligan and the others can barely survive, but if this situation continues, how long can they survive? Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan themselves are not sure. Whether it is Hangzhou Center or school district housing, there will always be a time when it is sold out. Lu Ligan called Mr. Han, and Mr. Han told him, "Don't worry, this is the way the economy is, isn't it a troika? When the carriage runs fast, of course you have to pull the reins and control the speed, otherwise the carriage will. If the carriage falls apart and the carriage runs slowly, 2 more whips will be added. What you have to wait for now is the arrival of those whips." Lu Ligan said, "It sounds like I just deserve a beating." Mr. Han laughed and said, "As long as the whipping makes you happy and makes you happy, it doesn't matter if you get 2 whippings. It's really painful and happy at the same time," Lu Ligan said. "Yes, that's what I mean," Mr. Han said, "Pol, these are painful days for the entire industry. The bubble is being squeezed, but have you ever thought about it? When the bubble is squeezed away, your competitors have been squeezed out. This process is also a time of endurance and strength. Whoever survives will be able to taste the sweetness behind." Lu Ligan thought about it. Mr. Han's words really made sense. At this time, he was indeed squeezing his competitors. Lu Ligan felt a little relieved. So-called leading companies in the industry like Lu Ligan and others are having such a difficult time. It is easy to imagine that other commercial real estate developers are having such a difficult time. Many real estate developers cannot get loans from banks and are unwilling to die. They can only turn their attention to the private sector. The interest rates on private loans in Hangzhou have soared, reaching the level of 10 cents per month. In fact, it's more than that, because the interest is paid at the beginning of each month. When you borrow 1 million, you actually get only 900,000, and the cost is higher than 10 cents. Lu Ligan looked at them and felt that they were drinking poison to quench their thirst, embarking on the same path that Song Chunming walked. This was destined to be a road of no return, unless a miracle happened. The general environment turned overnight, and real estate returned to shortage. However, Lu Ligan felt that he could not see any sign of this. They had to start laying off employees, starting with each sales department. Since there were no more sales, there were not as many people viewing the houses as there were people selling the houses, so many people were redundant. Every employee who received the notice to leave showed reluctance, and many shed tears at the time. Lu Ligan hated this kind of scene, especially the girls crying. He in turn begged Tan Shahen and Lao Tan, "Stay as much as you can." Tan Shahen looked at him and said calmly, "This is a choice between everyone dying together or sacrificing some people and surviving for others. I don't want to, but I have to make this choice. The next step is to stop some projects, like City in the Sky. They stopped all the projects in it. If they continue, they will only create more empty houses that no one wants, but they will lose all the projects on their books. Funds are squeezed away little by little. Only when life is hard can you realize what cash is king." As the central government tightens its control over the scale of credit for real estate development, major banks have taken corresponding measures to raise the threshold for personal housing mortgage loans around May Day. Gone are the days of lending housing loans with eyes closed. The main body's review has been stricter and the time has been extended. For the loan applications Lu Ligan and others submitted to the bank, 1 or 2 of the 10 applications would always be returned. It is said that this is not bad. For some companies, more than half of them have been rejected. On this basis, each bank also acted in unison and introduced more stringent measures. The core content is to restrict individuals from purchasing 2 or more houses, especially high-end villas. For those like Qian Fang and others who specialize in villa projects, the situation it is conceivable that Tan Shahen did not dare to call her to ask. This punch was aimed at controlling real estate speculation and stabilizing housing prices, but every punch actually ended up falling on Lu Ligan and other real estate companies. Seeing that first the peach blossoms and then the rapeseed flowers have bloomed and faded, Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen felt that winter was not over yet. If Lu Ligan and other real estate developers can still see some light in this winter, something worth looking forward to, it is that the real estate fair is coming soon. Based on past experience, as soon as the real estate fair starts, their hard days will come to an end. Therefore, they started to count the days with their fingers crossed. Lu Ligan felt that he would sing like Ai Jing singing 1997 will come soon, the sex party will come soon. Thank you, Tin Soldier, for reading the book every day and ranking third from top to bottom for the reward. Thank you to the nagging old man, the quiet room, the little Hushuasa, the humorous tribe, and the playboy Yang Shao for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1341. Zhang Chen returned to Hangzhou. 3 days later, Wang Lijhen from Mianjin called Zhang Chen and told him that her store was going to be demolished. She wanted to find another place, but there were only 1 or 2 commercial streets in Mianjin. Shops are hard to find, and the rents are terrifyingly high. Nowadays, these shops are either beauty salons or restaurants. How can we sell clothes better than them? Zhang Chen held the phone and didn't know what to say to Wang Lijhen. On the phone, Wang Lijhen sighed and said to Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, I'll try again. If I really can't find it, there's nothing I can do. Zhang Chen said yes, if you don't do it, I will refund you all the remaining goods and the franchise fee. No, 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 Mr. Zhang, just do it according to the contract. I just feel a little sad. I have cooperated with the company for so many years. If I stop doing it all of a sudden, I don't know what to do. Mr. Zhang, don't get me wrong, I'll hit you. I have no intention of returning or refunding the money. Zhang Chen said, I know. Wang Lichen breathed a sigh of relief and said, Mr. Zhang, it's good to know that I really like our company's clothes. All year round, I wear our own clothes. Even if I don't make them, I will still buy them. Wear our company clothes. If you have the opportunity to come to Hangzhou, come and see the company. Xiao Zhao is gone, but I am still the same. Wang Lichen, when you come, I will design clothes specially for you. Zhang Chen and Wang Lichen said. Really, that's great. Wang Lichen shouted, I'm just a little afraid to go. When I go upstairs, I will think of Xiao Zhao. Okay, I won't talk about Mr. Zhang anymore, I will cry again. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen held the phone and was stunned for a while. Wang Lichen, like Xiang Qin, was their earliest wholesale customer when they were in Sijiking. They were also the first batch of franchise stores they developed themselves. At that time, Wang Lichen always coming and going together with Xiang Qin, it really feels like the king will never leave Xiang, and Xiang will never leave the king. And the two of them have a very good relationship with Xiao Zhao. They are not like customers, but more like friends. First, the specialty store in Beijing was about to close, and then Wang Lichen's store could no longer open. Zhang Chen felt that he was losing ground in front of a powerful force. Zhang Chen thought about it, and it was the so-called urban management. City management means passing on the cost of renovation to every ordinary person and ordinary merchant through housing prices and rents. Lu Ligan came back, and Zhang Chen asked him, isn't your real estate life having a hard time now? Why are demolitions still happening in various places? Why do we need so much land? Lu Ligan looked at him and said, are you stupid? Real estate is just the same word. In fact, the house and the land are separate. They are completely different things. Like us, we can only be called real estate developers at most. Build and sell houses, the local government is the real estate developer, the land is in the hands of the collection and storage center, and we do not have the right to buy even an inch directly from the farmers. If you want to buy it, you can only buy it from them. I can only count it as half of this real estate at most. The other half, thank you, is the local government. Moreover, to say that this real estate is having a hard time, to be more precise, it is also our real estate developers. It's not easy, but the land sellers are still having a good time, including those who are short of money, it's us, they are not short of money. Then you also need to be able to buy land. If your life is hard, why are they doing demolition? Zhang Chen still didn't understand. Our life is difficult, but it is good for them. The overall situation is not good, so their expropriation costs will be low, the assessed value of both houses and land will be low, and the psychological expectations of the vast number of people whose land will be expropriated will also be low. It's just a big event, do you understand? Lu Ligan asked. Zhang Chen nodded, he finally figured it out. Besides, this land won't rot where it is. If you can't sell it this year, then sell it next year. If you can't sell it for 10 yuan, just sell it for 1 piece. If you can't sell it for 1 piece, just leave it unsold. Wait until our comrades, real estate developers, when they got hungry and opened their mouths, they just left the land there and the cost was included in the starting price to start bidding. Isn't it easy to do an exclusive sale, said Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen. Okay, Zhang Chen sighed and said, it seems that like you, I am a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in the land collection and storage center. When he was alone, Zhang Chen took out the old map of China from the cabinet. There were 5 pointed stars on it. Each 5-pointed star was a specialty store, which he drew with joy. Zhang Chen took a white marker and painted over Beijing, then stared at Ma'anshan, hesitated, and painted over. He felt the powerful force again. He felt that he had no way to resist it, and Wang Lijian was even less able. This 5-pointed star is destined to disappear. Zhang Chen sighed softly. He thought of a line in the movie Northern and Southern War he had watched when he was a child: "We take big steps backward today in order to take big steps forward tomorrow." He had a premonition that he would start to take big steps backward, but when would he be able to do so? Great strides forward, only God knows. Zhang Chen put the map away and walked to the door. He saw that the lights in the e-commerce department were still on over there in the dormitory, so he walked over. He saw not only the 2 salesmen there, but also Ji Ling and Su Qiaxin. Helping. "Why haven't you gotten off work yet?" Zhang Chen asked, looking at his watch. It was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. "I can't do it anymore, it's just started now," Ji Ling said. "The weather is starting to get hot now, and the climax will be around 10 o'clock in the evening, which is also the time when the success rate is highest." "Why?" Zhang Chen asked. "I was playing outside all the time," Su Qiaxin said. "At 10 o'clock, the bath has been taken, people have calmed down, and their mood has improved. At this time, I turn on the computer and browse Douban.com like a night market." Others, everyone was off work, and there was no response. We were the only ones who responded immediately, and of course they started chatting with us. "Didn't they place an order while chatting?" Zhang Chen laughed and asked, "Is this all the experience you summed up?" "No, it's the 2 of them." Su Qiaxin pointed to the 2 salesmen and told Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen looked at them and they smiled shyly at Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen felt a little apologetic. He seemed to have never noticed these 2 girls who were working so hard. Until now, he didn't even know their names. Zhang Chen couldn't ask questions, so he could only pick up their sales records and look at them. He was shocked. Now, they can sell more than 10 or 20 pieces of clothes here every day. On the highest day, they sold 42 pieces. Zhang Chen remained calm at the moment. He couldn't show that he knew nothing about the situation here. He asked, "That Gong Shui, are you still buying clothes?" "Of course, I buy it every month and it always ranks first," Ji Ling said. Still like that, not saying a word. "Yes, it's not just a word, it's that she doesn't pay any attention to us. She just ignores whatever we say to her." "Do you have her QQ number?" "We no longer need QQ and MSN, we have our own chat software called Wang Wang. You can chat directly with customers," Ji Ling said. Zhang Chen smiled awkwardly. It seemed that Zheng Huiyang and the others had made progress again, but he himself was a bit bureaucratic and didn't know what he was busy with every day. Zhang Chen thought of something and said to Ji Ling, "Come to my office." Ji Ling said yes, she will come over after I finish dealing with this client. Zhang Chen nodded and returned to his office. 10 minutes later, Ji Ling came in. Zhang Chen asked, "Is it done?" "It's done, I bought 2 pieces, Ji Ling said. Zhang Chen motioned Ji Ling to sit down, and Ji Ling sat down opposite the desk. Zhang Chen asked, "What are the names of those 2 girls?" It was as if he knew their nicknames. "The one with long hair is called Zhong Peijun, and the one with short hair is called Li Wei," Ji Ling said. "Look at their place, do they need more manpower? They can't work overtime like this every day, and you and Su Qiaxin can't help out every day," Zhang Chen said. Ji Ling nodded and said, "Yes, if there are 4 people, there are actually not many customers in the morning. As long as one person is on duty, the other 3 will go to work in the afternoon and evening, so that they can be busy." Zhang Chen said yes, Then add 2 more people. In addition, if they arrange a department manager here, which one do you think is suitable? Ge Ling thought for a moment and said that Li Wei seemed to be more suitable, while Zhong Peijun was a bit rough. Okay, then it's up to Li Wei, Zhang Chen said. Let Li Wei go to the specialty store to choose the people she wants to add. They are all her old colleagues anyway, and she should know about them. Ge Ling is right. Call Li Wei over. Zhang Chen told Ge Ling that. Ge Ling stood up and walked out. Halfway through, Ge Ling came back and said to Zhang Chen, Master, there is one more thing I want to discuss with you. Okay, you tell me. Zhang Chen nodded. Ge Ling sat down again, and she said to Zhang Chen, it's that private customization. People seem to be getting richer and richer, and their demands are getting higher and higher. They don't like Beizai anymore, and they hope to buy it. Several people have mentioned it to me about top-tier world-famous brands. Well, what do you think? My idea is, do we need to recruit a buyer who understands foreign languages and go directly to Hong Kong, France, and Italy to purchase? Anyway, the cost is added to the goods, and these people will pay for it. They ask, first, the first line world, second, the famous brand is the best in Hangzhou. Only she has it and no one else has it. This applies to clothing, shoes, bags and cosmetics. If the service in this area is good, sales will definitely increase a lot compared to now. Zhang Chen said, okay, you can go ahead and make arrangements, and asked with a smile, who are these people? How come I know them, like Chu Tianlin, Awen, Qianfang, Tan Shuhen, and your senior sisters? They are also considered. We have money, but they don't seem to have this requirement. If you have money, you also need time. Sister Tianlin, Sister Zhenzhen, and the others don't have time. Senior sisters regard famous brands as dirt. These are boss ladies who have money and leisure. The boss is away from home every day, and money is their best thing. I'm with you, Ge Ling said with a smile. There are also bank presidents. There are more and more young female presidents now, and they are also competing with each other. Zhang Chen laughed and said, okay, the more they compete, the more opportunities we have. Ge Ling also stood up with a smile. She said, Master, shall I call Li Wei? Zhang Chen nodded and said yes, let's go.